Good morning, students. Welcome back to our economics class. Today we are going to learn Unit 3 Liberalization, Privatization and the Globalization from Indian Economy. And this is part 1.
Hi everyone, welcome to Liberalization, Privatization and Globalization, Chapter 3 of Indian Economic Development of Class 12 Economics. Well, starting with the chapter, firstly I would like to tell you that around 1991, India was in a huge financial crisis. By financial crisis, what I mean are five terms. Firstly, that the expenditure had increased a lot, that India was the people of India or the national income of India was being spent a lot more than what the revenue or the income that people were earning. Secondly, there was a high increase in prices. So there was inflation. There was high inflation. Prices had increased, expenditure had increased, and even essential products were being sold at a very high price. Thirdly, the foreign exchange reserves had declined. Foreign exchange reserves are the assets that are used by the country or that were used by India to conduct trade with foreign countries. So these had declined. Fourthly, there were not even enough foreign exchange to pay interest. So we did not have the assets even or the kind of money to pay interest. Um, to pay interest. And fifthly, there was no country or international funder in the sense someone who could lend us money or who could fund our resources. So there was no country or international funder which could lend to India. So this was the financial crisis that India was dealing in 1991. So what reaction did India have is that it approached the IBRD. India approached the IBRD. So what is IBRD now? It's a very important one marker. It's called International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So this is also known as a World Bank now. So this is the earlier name for International Bank for Reconstruction and Development. So India approached IBRD along with IMF. So typically we'll say India approached the World Bank and the IMF. IMF here refers to International Monetary Fund. Now what did India do? India asked for a loan. India asked for a loan of rupees 7 billion. 7 billion is a huge amount. And what did these IMF and World Bank ask in return for the loan is that they said that you have to meet three rules of ours, or you would have to liberalize your economy. Now I'll be teaching what actually liberalize means. Secondly, open up the economy by removing restrictions on private sector. So privatization had to be taken place, that there was no restrictions on the private sector were to be completely removed. Thirdly was that trade restrictions, which is basically globalization. So trade restrictions had to be removed as well. So here we get three words that we'll be discussing. The liberalization, privatization and globalization is what IMF and World Bank demanded. So India came up with the NEP. NEP is basically New Economic Policy, which consisted of all these three demands. It had all these three demands, and the purpose, as stated in your book, was to make India more competitive. Just remember the key terms that I'm mentioning here and you will get the marks that you require. I mean, honestly, these are just the keywords that your examiner will be looking forward to. So competitive environment is what they thought the purpose of NEP or the New Economic Policy is. The New Economic Policy is nothing but all of these three things: liberalization, privatization, and globalization. Yeah. So the purpose was making it more competitive, and secondly to remove the barriers to entry, and for the growth of firms. So they felt like these two things would lead to the third. So what they actually thought was that competitiveness and removing barriers would lead to growth of firms, Well, anyway, we'll be analyzing if actually it led to growth of firms or not in the later chapter. But what we see here is that in the true sense, what it wanted was that the balance of payment situation. There are two types of measures that they wanted to require. Measures. So the measures of NEP were of two types. Firstly, there were the stabilization measures, and the secondly were the structural reform. So what I mean by stabilization measures is like the immediate or the short-term needs of the economy. By short-term measures, I mean that अगर इन्फ्लेशन ज़्यादा है भी तो डिफ्लेशन कर दो, मतलब प्राइसेस कम हो जाए एसेंशियल प्रोडक्ट्स के. एंड बाय स्ट्रक्चरल रिफॉर्म मेजर्स इज पूरा स्ट्रक्चरल चेंज लाना, एक स्ट्रक्चरल में पूरा रिफॉर्मेशन लाना. सो दैट इज व्हाट आई मेंट बाय लॉन्ग टर्म मेजर्स. So in stabilization measures, we mean balance of payment situation, the BOP situation. I'll be covering all of this BOP and then foreign exchange reserves in the rest of my videos, which will be covered in the macroeconomics part of your economics. So I'll be covering all of that. Please check out the video. So balance of payment situation they had to cover up, and secondly, they wanted to check up on the inflation. And secondly, by long-term measures, they wanted to increase the efficiency of the economy and also to increase its international competitiveness. So these were the actual measures that they thought of taking. So these are two: stabilization, structural. In stabilization, these both, and in structural, we have these both. Now talking about the liberalization measures. So our first topic is liberalization. So liberalization is a very important part of this chapter. Now talking about the first point that we have here is deregulation of industrial sector. So firstly, we'll be talking about industrial sector itself. So as I have covered up in my previous chapter videos, in chapter 2 of this book, I've covered how different the industrial policy, if you remember, industrial policy resolution of 1948 and 1956, that come up with different mechanisms to regulate the industries of India. So now in this NEP, which is the new economic policy, we have decided to remove all those policy resolutions that we have taken. So what all we plan to remove was, firstly, that industrial licensing was abolished. Secondly, I'll just highlight this so that it becomes easier for you. So the point that we're talking about here is industrial sector. So industrial licensing was abolished. Secondly, the public sector. The only industries which were now reserved for the public sector के लिए कुछ industries थी जो reserved थी अब, और वो है defense, atomic, और thirdly transport, railway transport. So these are the only three areas which were reserved for the public sector. The third policy was to de-reserve small scale industries. जैसे हमने डिस्कस किया था कि कुछ चीज़ें हमारी स्मॉल स्केल इंडस्ट्रीज के लिए रिजर्व हो रखी थी, तो अब वो डी-रिजर्व हो गई थी. एंड फोर्थली इज that the market has now allowed been open to determine the prices. तो prices जो थे अब वो मार्केट डिटरमाइन कर सकती थी. वैसे नॉर्मली गवर्नमेंट डिटरमाइन करती थी एनईपी से पहले, लेकिन अब एनईपी के बाद से मार्केट मतलब कि जो डिमांड सप्लाई के मेजर्स हैं वो अब डिटरमाइन करते हैं कि कितना प्राइस रहेगा प्रोडक्ट्स का. Now financial sector reforms. फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर रिफॉर्म्स, इसमें ये है कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल आपको इसमें ये याद रखना है कि फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर का मतलब क्या है. तो फाइनेंशियल सेक्टर कंसिस्ट ऑफ 4 एरियाज विच आर कमर्शियल बैंक्स, इन्वेस्टमेंट बैंक्स, then we have stock exchange operations, and fourthly we have a foreign exchange market. Yeah, so these are the 4 things that consist of the financial sector. So first of all क्या हमारे financial sector में reforms आए was firstly to make RBI from a regulator to facilitator. तो RBI पहले रेगुलेटर हुआ करता था, फिर उसे फैसिलिटेटर बना दिया गया. इट मीन्स जो RBI की पावर्स थी वो पहले बहुत ज़्यादा थी और अब वो कम कर दी गई थी. सेकेंडली एस्टैब्लिशमेंट ऑफ प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स हुए. प्राइवेट सेक्टर बैंक्स को इस्टेब्लिश किया गया. बैंक्स इस्टेब्लिश्ड जो कि इंडियन और फॉरेन दोनों थे, इंडियन भी थे और फॉरेन भी थे. थर्डली इज दैट इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट जो थी, इन्वेस्टमेंट लिमिट बढ़ा दी गई थी 50% तक. फोर्थली हमारी जो RBI है, जैसे हमने पहले बात करी है कि RBI से अब आपको फ्रीडम मिल गई थी. तो आप फ्रीडम मिल गई थी टू आप खुद के ब्रांचेस अगर आपको बढ़ाने हैं. पहले आपको याद हो तो हमें लाइसेंसेस लेने पड़ते थे, इंडस्ट्रियल लाइसेंसिंग होती थी, हमें कभी अपना ब्रांच बढ़ाना होता था आपको लाइसेंस लेना पड़ता था. बट नाउ देयर वाज नो नीड टू टेक अप्रूवल ऑफ RBI. अप्रूवल ऑफ RBI was not required to open up new branches and networks. Fifthly we have that the some managerial aspects रह गए थे RBI के पास. ऐसा भी नहीं है कि बिल्कुल RBI के powers ले लियो. Some managerial aspects were still with RBI. And sixth is that the foreign institutional investors, the FIIs I might say. So FIIs actually mean foreign institutional investors such as merchant bankers. This is also a very important one marker. Merchant bankers, mutual funds and pension funds. Mutual funds and pension funds are now allowed to invest in Indian financial markets. तो अब इन सबको अलाउ कर दिया था कि वो इंडियन मार्केट्स में इन्वेस्ट कर सकते हैं. So now our economy was open to foreign investment. Thirdly we have tax reforms. Tax reforms ज़्यादा नहीं थे, it's a very easy part. टैक्स रिफॉर्म्स में बस यही था कि एक तो हमारे 2 टाइप ऑफ टैक्सेस होते हैं, दे आर डायरेक्ट एंड इनडायरेक्ट. सो डायरेक्ट आर द वंस की जो टैक्सेस उन सब पे लगते हैं इनकम एंड प्रॉपर्टी पे. लाइक वी हैव कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स, सॉरी इनकम एंड प्रॉपर्टी पे लगते हैं. लाइक वी हैव कॉर्पोरेट टैक्स, वी हैव इनकम टैक्स. एंड इनडायरेक्ट होते हैं जो कि गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज पे लगते हैं. सो वी हैव GST एंड वी हैड VAT एंड सेल्स एंड एवरीथिंग. सो दिस इज ऑल इनडायरेक्ट. तो डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस आपकी बुक में दिया भी हुआ है, डेफिनेशन भी. आई सजेस्ट कि आप बुक से रेफर करके प्रॉपर डेफिनेशन याद कर लीजिए. वैसे डेफिनेशन यही है. एंड अ मोर स्पेसिफिक डेफिनेशन वुड बी दैट डायरेक्ट टैक्सेस आर द वन व्हिच कैन नॉट बी शिफ्टेड. द बर्डन कैन नॉट बी शिफ्टेड. मतलब अगर आपको पे करना है तो सिर्फ आप ही को पे करना है. यू कैन नॉट आस्क एनी अदर पर्सन और शिफ्ट द बर्डन टू एनी अदर पर्सन. लेकिन इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स में बर्डन इसमें शिफ्ट नहीं कर सकते. इसमें शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं. तो इसमें शिफ्ट कर सकते हैं इन द सेंस कि जैसे शॉपकीपर्स को जीएसटी पे करना होता है, बट दे शिफ्ट द बर्डन ऑन द कंज्यूमर्स. सो कंज्यूमर्स पे दिस जीएसटी टू द शॉपकीपर्स, एंड इन टर्न shopkeepers file their tax returns and everything with the government. So this is how the burden can be shifted. So these are two type of taxes. तो ज़्यादा चेंजेस यही आए थे कि जिसका कॉरपोरेशन टैक्स जो मैंने बात करी थी अभी, कॉरपोरेशन टैक्स जो प्रॉपर्टी पे लगता है, वो पहले बहुत ज़्यादा था, उसको कम कर दिया गया. इट वॉज लोअर डाउन. उनको लगा कि ग्रेजुअली रिड्यूस करेंगे तो शायद से टैक्स एवेजन ना हो. सेकेंडली जो इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस थे उसके लिए ऐसा किया कि एक कॉमन नेशनल मार्केट बना दिया गुड्स एंड सर्विस के लिए. कॉमन नेशनल मार्केट फॉर गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज. सो यही था. दिस इज डायरेक्ट टैक्स के एरिया में कॉरपोरेशन टैक्स किया था, इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स के एरिया में कॉमन नेशनल मार्केट फॉर गुड्स एंड सर्विसेज बना दिया था. बट ऑल्सो द थर्ड वन वाज दैट द टैक्स वो भरने का पूरा प्रोसेस सिंप्लीफाई कर दिया था. सो सिंप्लीफिकेशन ऑफ टैक्सेशन प्रोसेस. उनको लगा कि इससे हमारी बहुत सारे पर्पसेस बीट होंगे. फर्स्टली इट वुड बी दैट टैक्स पेयर्स जो हैं वो टैक्स इवेजन नहीं होगी, टैक्स इवेजन वुड नॉट टेक प्लेस, एंड दैट देयर वुड बी बेटर कंप्लायंस on the part of the consumers, better compliance on the part of the citizens to pay their taxes. So this is what they aim to do. फिर आपकी जीएसटी की बात करी गई है आपकी बुक में. इसमें बहुत ही लिमिटेड इन्फॉर्मेशन दी है, बट आई विल बी प्रोवाइडिंग अ सेपरेट वीडियो ऑन जीएसटी because even though there's a lot less information in your book, there's a lot more that can be asked in your board paper. So GST was introduced in 2016, but it actually came into effect on July 2017. It's called Goods and Services Act, Goods and Services Tax Act, and the three expectations from GST was कि additional revenue generate करेगा, tax evasion कम करेगा, and one nation one tax and one market बनाएगा. सो देखा जाए तो यही चीज़ है कि रेवेन्यू बढ़ाना है, टैक्स एवेजन जो हमने बात करी हुई है, टैक्स एवेजन कम करना है, और वन नेशन वन मार्केट एंड वन टैक्स का उनने मेन पर्पस था जीएसटी के लिए. नाउ कमिंग टू फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिफॉर्म्स. फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिफॉर्म्स. सो फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रिफॉर्म्स में मेन यही रहेगा कि इसमें जो मेन तो इसमें यही हुआ था कि जो रूपी है वो डीवैल्यू कर दिया गया था. बाय डीवैल्यूएशन ऑफ रूपी वी मीन दैट द रूपी in contrast with the value of dollar or with the value of any other foreign currency had declined. कि अगर हम पहले $1 में 6 रुपये अगर मिलते थे तो फिर $1 में 7 रुपीज़ मिलने लग गए थे. So this is how the value of rupee decreases. That is why it is called devaluation of rupees. Secondly यही हुआ था कि जो रूपी की वैल्यू जो होती है it was open to be determined by the market forces of demand and supply. So rupee की वैल्यू determined by market forces of demand and supply. Fifthly, we have trade and investment policy. So what is there actually in trade and investment policy is, पहले तो हम ये बात करेंगे कि क्या क्या क्वांटिटेटिव रिस्ट्रिक्शंस थे. सो और इन द सेंस वो कैसे कैसे हटाए गए. सो पहले वी हैड क्वांटिटेटिव रिस्ट्रिक्शंस, वी हैड टैरिफ्स, we had quotas. I've talked about this in my previous video कि कैसे quantitative restrictions actually means tariffs and quotas, and what is actually meant by tariff barriers and non-tariff barriers. I've already covered this in the previous chapter. So क्या क्या changes आए थे was firstly that reduction of tariff rates. Now these rates were reduced. So this is our first point. Secondly ये था कि हमारी licensing procedure for imports was also removed. So import licensing जो था, अब हमें imports करवाने के लिए भी हम पहले लाइसेंस लेते थे, उसको भी रिमूव कर दिया गया. It was removed. And thirdly was that the quantitative restrictions that we have talked about here were also removed. So this is our third point. So the three changes that came in the trade and investment policy is that the quantitative restrictions were removed, tariffs rate were reduced, and the import licensing was also removed. So these are all the points for liberalization. I'll be discussing the rest of the chapter in the part 2 of this part 2 of my chapter 3 videos. So stay tuned, and if there's any feedback, or in the sense that if you want me to explain any topic in detail, I'm always open to your recommendations. And thank you for watching this video.